Good afternoon. Against the chilling backdrop of Gaza's humanitarian catastrophe, where over 68,000 lives have been lost, the search for a unified Palestinian voice is more critical than ever. Cairo is again the diplomatic crucible, hosting the latest reconciliation talks between Fatah and rival Palestinian factions. This renewed Egyptian push aims to finally bridge the 18-year political chasm. But can unity truly rise from these ruins? With regional powers, the US and Israel imposing political and strategic red lines from future governance to the future of resistance, Palestinian political elites face a seemingly impossible choice. Tonight, we look at the desperate appeal from Gaza's tribal elders for bold steps, asking the critical question: in the shadow of devastation and against the weight of global demands, can we witness a lasting Palestinian unity as aspired by the Palestinian people? Welcome to Think Tank.
Our world is becoming unhinged.
Egypt today has reported that the most recent Cairo talks have cemented a unified Palestinian commitment to the Gaza peace deal, viewing it as the crucial shield against renewed conflict. Officials from rival factions, including Hamas, stressed a broad national consensus on implementing the ceasefire and accelerating reconstruction after 2 years of immense suffering. These responsible and constructive dialogues are guided by 3 pillars: securing a lasting ceasefire, launching Gaza's urgent reconstruction, and fully supporting mediators to realize the broader peace plan. This unity is deemed essential, as no single faction can address immense humanitarian needs alone. Ultimately, the leaders affirmed that Palestinian national unity and continued cooperation are the only keys to protecting civilians and ensuring a stable, peaceful environment for reconstruction. They praised Egypt's pivotal role in facilitating both the ceasefire and the path forward for the national interests. According to China Daily, the Palestinian government is intensely coordinating with Arab and global partners to ensure the Gaza recovery and reconstruction plan advances towards a crucial November donors conference in Egypt. This strategic engagement is vital to implement the deal's next phases and address Gaza's dire humanitarian needs, despite a fragile truce being tested by sporadic military action. Major concern remains the escalating unchecked settler violence in the West Bank, which the UN Human Rights Office describes as having skyrocketed with impunity. Palestinian leadership urges urgent international action to stop these attacks and protect civilians, affirming the need for effective deterrence to prevent further instability. While the US supports the truce extension and seeks to leverage the deal for broader normalization, uncertainty persists over core issues including governance in Gaza and the disarmament of factions. The full implementation of the peace plan requires all parties to uphold their commitments to ensure lasting stability and genuine relief for the Palestinian people. To provide more analysis, joining us from Loa, Mr. Noman Abu Isa, political analyst, and from Paris by Mr. Majid Boudin, international law professor. We welcome both of you, gentlemen, and let me here start with Mr. Abu Isa. And Mr. Abu Isa, given the firm U.S. red lines that were put against any Hamas rule, what realistic power-sharing model that Egypt can propose that bridge Washington's demands with Hamas' claim for a governance seat?
Yes, greetings first to you and all the listeners. The United States is very interested in moderating a ceasefire and reaching a solution, a permanent solution to this conflict. In the first place, the United States have more challenges elsewhere in the world, in East Asia and Ukraine war, but then it was dragged into having to moderate a escalating situation in the Gaza Strip. And there is the main players. Of course, Egypt is the biggest country neighboring Gaza, and will have a great role into the rebuilding of Gaza, and also will have a role into moderating, being intermediate between Israel and the Gaza people. It has been working with Qatar and Turkey and the United States to reach the ceasefire. So Egypt is the biggest Arab country, has the most trusted, from the Palestinians themselves. I mean, they look at Egypt as their big brother next door to them, and it will have a great role to play with Hamas.
Yes,
and
but
Hamas.
This time I'm speaking because there is a Palestinian factions meeting that is taking place today. So from your point of view, how to ensure that the U.S. red lines that were put against the backdrop of a Palestinian model for governance that should be put, and that will be proposed by Egypt. What realistic model are we speaking about here?
The realistic model is that the Palestinian people are one of the most educated people in the Middle East, and they can rule themselves. The transition to that kind of model will take some agents. Those agents are Western pro-Israel, and also should be Arabs pro-Palestine. And Egypt is the neighboring country who can work on behalf of the Palestinian people to reach a model where the Palestinian people can rule themselves. And there will be a transition time.
Yes, Mr. Noman, what I'm speaking about here is not about the Palestinian people ability to rule themselves, but we're speaking here against the backdrop of the rivalry between the Palestinian factions themselves and their ability to accept a model that would ensure, yes, everybody taking his role, but at the same time that could go in parallel with the U.S. red lines and demands for no rule of Hamas.
Yes, Hamas and many other factions have met with all the Palestinian factions in China a while ago, and they agreed in a power-sharing structure for the Palestinian people. However, Israel does not want that unity to be in practice, and they always play a role to divide between the Palestinian people and the Palestinian parties. So that is, I guess, what we see today. There is a rift between Hamas and other Palestinian groups, but then Hamas is also now aware that there is enough international involvement at this point. It's not Hamas alone standing up for Israel, because, for example, the ethnic cleansing failed in the West Bank because of the resistance of the Palestinian people, and also the resistance of the surrounding countries, especially Egypt.
So we'll get to that point. We'll get to that point because there are also U.S. or President Trump's statements on this issue. But let me get to what we were speaking about later. Let me go here to Dr. Boudin. And Dr. Boudin, with the ICJ ruling ordering UNRWA aid and U.S. banning its future role, how does this conflict between the World Court and a major power impact the practical application of international law in Gaza?
I mean, this advisory opinion is very important, and it's confirming a previous advisory opinion and all the advisory opinions of the International Court of Justice. What does it mean? It has several key points which were confirmed now. They are saying that Israel is an occupying authority. Israel must withdraw from all the territories of the Palestinian state, and that Israel must provide, even in a situation of war, the protection to the Palestinian population and to the UN, UNRWA, and all humanitarian supply to the population, because this is an obligation of Israel. And that the UNRWA is a qualified institution, a UN institution, and it's not controlled by Hamas. And that UNRWA must continue its work, and the supply of water and of food and of services must continue, and Israel must stop the prevention of these supplies. So this is a very important decision which made clear that the Palestinian people have the right to a state, and that they have the right to be protected, and that the international community must implement this opinion. So it's an advisory opinion. But an advisory opinion is compulsory.
Indeed. Indeed. But we're speaking about the UNRWA, and the UNRWA is part of the body of the United Nations, and its role is crucial there. But here we have the conflict between applying law and the rule of those who have power on the ground, which is the United States banning this organization from fulfilling its duties. I'll get back to you again, Mr. Bouden. Let me go to Mr. Abu Isa. Mr. Abu Isa, the proposal here was a technocratic government that would take place and would have the share of every faction and on the ground. Do you think this technocratic committee, even if backed by Arab consensus, could achieve a genuine governing legitimacy on the ground without a fundamental prior agreement on the PLO supremacy, or let me say, without a fundamental prior agreement from all factions together for a supremacy, or under the umbrella of the PLO? This is from one side. And from the other side, would this technocratic government have the ability to gather all factions together with the consensus of world powers and guarantors for like the United States?
I mean, at this point here, we have an emergency. The Palestinian people are being starved. They are being deprived from basic human rights and basic necessities in the Gaza Strip. And there is a need for any kind of body to come and be the body responsible for the allowance and distribution of emergency aid. So the Palestinian people are not to the point that they want to look into the long term, because there is an immediate need right now, and they need to attend to those people who are hungry, to those people who are looking for shelter, to those people who are looking for water and medicine. So these are the basic needs at this point, and they will take a technocratic government to be able to mediate between the major players. And we've seen the major players in the last at least least a month or 2 months when we have reached this push for a ceasefire, and they are trying to make it a permanent ceasefire, and Israel is trying to interrupt and break the ceasefire, as we have seen multiple times in the Gaza Strip in the last week and or few days. So there is a need for immediate government to come together from the local people who are able to distribute the aid and have some kind of trust from the international community, including Israel, that they will not be carrying weapons at the same time.
What does it mean? What does it mean here? A technocratic government that would include all factions together under one umbrella. What does this technocrat government mean?
The technocrat government means that they will be able to provide the logistics, the personnel, and the distribution of resources in a safe way, and also communicate with the international community to convey the priorities of the Palestinian people as far as what are the immediate needs and how they can prioritize those needs. The technocrats are people who are engineers, who are doctors, who are civil servants, who can understand the societal needs in the Gaza Strip and attend to those needs. So those people usually are part of the executive government who oversee the ministries of any government in the world, and that is the need at this point for the Palestinian people. They need a group of specialized people and people who have knowledge in the societal needs and how to achieve those needs and how to communicate clearly to the major players in this phase of the ceasefire, because we know that this is becoming an international concern. We have 20 presidents came to Sharm el-Sheikh to participate into the resolution of this conflict, because this conflict is touching on many nerves, and people are going to the street in the past, and they are still going to the street in support of the Palestinian people's right to exist and to live.
Right. Dr. Boudin, here, if I may ask you, if Israel persists with escalating settler violence and annexation steps and plans in the West Bank, does the international law view this as an action of hostile or a hostile act that legally obstructs the Gaza ceasefire agreement? Plus, definitely we've heard U.S. President for the very first time in the history of the United States saying that the West Bank will not be annexed, and that Israel should commit to that, and that if not, they will lose the support of the United States, or at least the United States will not support such actions. So what do you think of that?
From a legal point of view, international law prohibits very clearly the annexation of the West Bank or of Gaza or of Eastern Jerusalem. So the matter is with no doubt, and in the advisory opinions of the International Court of Justice, it's very clear mentioned. Why this advisory opinion is very important? Because it has compulsory effects. It means that no states in the world can take a decision which will disregard the advisory opinion of the ICJ. So it means that all states, including the United States, they have to be in accordance and compliance with the advisory opinion, because this is the international law stated by its highest judicial body. So when the second thing is that, of course, it's a consequence that this will be a breach of the ceasefire. And the other point, the U.S. now has made it clear, and it's very, very, very important to say that the U.S. finally now are on the way to recognize the Palestinian state, and that the Israeli government of Netanyahu or anybody else will never be will never go against the will and the direction taken now by the U.S. administration. And this is under international law, the decision of the Knesset. They did it times before to say that they have annexed the West Bank or any part of the Palestinian territory is not valid under international law.
Is this a legal vote? Is the vote of the Knesset to annex the West Bank is a legal vote?
No, it has no legality. It is an internationally illicit act. It's a violation. This vote is a violation of the rights of the Palestinian people, and it's a violation of the obligation of Israel under international law to protect the Palestinian state and to protect the Palestinian population. And when you look carefully at the advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice, they said clearly that Israel has the obligation of protection even in the times of war, and that by deciding to annex the West Bank, Israel is committing a violation of international law. So the law of Israel is against international law, and it's a violation of international law. You see, a state can take laws in a free way. Okay, they can take whatever law they want, but the law taken could be in contradiction of international law, or, like in this case, could be a violation of international law, even if it is a law. So it has no effect, it has no consequences, and it's as if nothing has happened. So Israel cannot do anything with this matter. There is a point which is very important, that International Court of Justice is saying that Palestinian territory, they did not use territories. They did not use the plural. It means that the territories of the Palestinian state, which are Eastern Jerusalem, West Bank, and Gaza, are one unique territory. They are not territories. So there is one single territory, even if it's discontinued. This is why in the plan of reconstruction of Gaza and of this peace of the peace plan of Trump, which is supported by the Palestinians, the neighboring countries, and a big part of the world, there is a thing which is important is to use the principle of continuity of the Palestinian territory by having a tunnel which goes from Gaza to the West Bank. And this is important in the reconstruction of Gaza and the reconstruction of the Palestinian territory. And we use the singular here, because there is one single territory of Palestine.
One single territory of Palestine that gather all together all those areas. Mr. Abaissa, if I may ask you here, do the urgent appeals of Gaza's tribal council and grassroots forces and the people of Palestine signify an authentic national mandate strong enough to finally compel the political elites to prioritize unity over factional calculations?
Absolutely. The Palestinian people are aware of the strength and hegemony of Israel, and now they are trying to survive. So those wise leaders of the Palestinian people are saying that we want to work with the international community. We want to live, to continue living in the Gaza Strip, and we are willing to work with all the players to make that happen. And that is what we are seeing today, even though Israel wants to use its force and continue to use its force to force its decisions on the population of the Gaza Strip. But the Gaza and the Palestinians in Gaza, they want to work with the international community, and they are saying we want to live peacefully and we want to continue the relationships with the surrounding countries to make that happen.
But Mr. Abaissa, for Israel to do that is that it is having a pretext to do that, and the first pretext is that who will govern the Palestinian territories and the Palestinian state. So that question reminds us that we should not be giving a pretext for Israel to carry out with its action, and that action or that should be a priority, right? What do you think?
The priority at this point for the Palestinian people is to survive. I mean, they are in survival mode, and they want to continue to survive, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to survive. There is a Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, and the United States have recognized that authority, and they want to recognize a similar authority in the Gaza Strip. But then all the United States vision is being violated by Israel. Israel has declared wants to occupy and annex the West Bank when J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, was present in Israel, and also the President of the United States sent the Foreign Minister, the Secretary of State Rubio to Israel to convince them not to move in that direction. But the Israelis have their own agenda and their own vision for the future, where they see themselves as dominant on the old Palestinian land between the Mediterranean and the Jordan River, and that is in the constitution of the Likud party. I mean, this is what we have, a Likud party in government, but the prime minister is trying to work with the United States, with the president of the United States, because the President Trump has had it with Israel at this point, and he's saying enough is enough. We cannot continue with this kind of provocation and expect that the Palestinians are going to do nothing. So he wants to have also a possible, reasonable, achievable resolution, at least to the current crisis.
So in order, Mr. Abu Isa, let's get that short. In order to come out with a reasonable or with a lasting peace that could lead to a Palestinian independent state, we should first start with the first step, which is unifying Palestinians, so they can be all united in front of any kind of interests of the other party. What do you think of that?
Absolutely. The Palestinian people need to be united. You need to have a front which is the same with all countries, but we know that there are many players also in the region who have factions, who have connection to factions within the Palestinian society, and those different forces within the region have different objectives, and the Palestinians are divided between those different factions. So the Palestinians are a small country, a small entity. At this point here, they need to come together and say to each other that we are going to have
a country,
unified front.
Mr. Abu Isa, this is our hope. A country.
Absolutely, country. Yeah, absolutely. It's not a country yet, but we will have. They are able to have a country.
Indeed.
They are able to have a government. But then we know also that their government in the West Bank is dysfunctional, is not able to have an election.
And hence came this important meeting that is taking place today, Mr. Norman. Hence came the importance of this meeting that is taking place here in Egypt to unify the Palestinian factions, to be able to have a government that would hopefully rule a Palestinian independent state. I guess
more power
yes.
to the Palestinian people, and more power to Egypt if they can bring together all the Palestinian factions and have them agree on a unified front. I mean, there is lots of forces. Israel, for example, will not allow any kind of armed presence in the Gaza Strip, and there is no way of governing a society without some kind of force, at least police force in the Gaza Strip. So there are lots of components in the Gaza Strip and the Palestine in general, and the surrounding countries are suffering as well, Egypt included. I mean, the whole international commerce is being impacted by Yemen, for example, and many other players because of the Israeli-Palestinian and the Israeli-Gaza conflict. So that's, I mean, those are lots of forces. And there is lots of players, and I don't know if they will be able to reach a consensus to rule themselves.
But hopefully, that's the grassroots plea by the Palestinian people. This is what Egypt has always been trying to do and is trying to do today by this important meeting taking place in Egypt. So hopefully this would be a priority for the Palestinian factions altogether. That was Mr. Nouman Abu Isa, political analyst, and Dr. Majid Boudin, international law professor. We thank you both, gentlemen, for this special insights and valuable discussion. And in a land sacred by loss and division, the cry for unity echoes louder than ever as Cairo brokers hope and Gaza people demand action. The world watches. Will politics yield to nationhood, or will ruins remain the only legacy? Hopefully not. That brings us to the end of today's episode of Think Tank, which always unveils the complexities of our changing world. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more on Qnews.